The New Kingdom of Ancient Egypt, 1549 BCE, 1069 BCE, marked the height of Egypt's power, prosperity, and territorial expansion. During this period, the pharaohs secured Egypt's borders and established strong diplomatic ties with neighboring powers such as Mitanni, Assyria, and Canaan. Under the reign of Thutmose I, and more notably his grandson Thutmose III, Egypt launched successful military campaigns that expanded its influence as far as northwest Syria and deep into Nubia, reaching the fourth cataract of the Nile. Between these two reigns, Queen Hatshepsut emerged as a unique figure, favoring peace over war. She restored disrupted trade routes from the time of the Hyksos occupation and reopened long-distance trade, including expeditions to the distant land of Punt, bringing back exotic goods. Hatshepsut ruled for nearly 20 years and left a lasting legacy of prosperity and grand construction. Her mortuary temple, Djeser Djeseru, located in Deir el-Bahri, is a masterpiece of symmetry and elegance, and is considered to predate the architectural sophistication of Greece's Parthenon by 1,000 years. However, her legacy was later targeted by her stepson and successor, Amenhotep II, who attempted to erase her name and memory, possibly as a way to prevent future women from claiming the throne. Around 1350 BCE, the New Kingdom faced another major shift when Amenhotep IV came to power. He changed his name to Akhenaten and initiated a radical religious revolution. He elevated the previously obscure sun deity Aten as the supreme god, banned the worship of nearly all other gods, and attacked the power of the Amun priesthood in Thebes, which he saw as corrupt. Akhenaten moved the capital to a newly built city called Akhetaten, modern-day Amarna, and focused entirely on his new monotheistic religion and its distinctive artistic style. Meanwhile, he largely ignored the rising tensions in the Near East, where powers like the Hittites, Mitanni, and Assyrians were battling for dominance. After Akhenaten's death, his religious reforms quickly unraveled. Worship of Aten was abandoned, Amun was restored, and the capital returned to Thebes. Subsequent rulers like Tutankhamun I and Horemheb sought to erase Akhenaten's legacy completely, an era now referred to as the Amarna period. Then, around 1279 BCE, Ramesses II, also known as Ramesses the Great, ascended the throne. He was one of Egypt's most celebrated rulers, known for his ambitious building projects and numerous statues and monuments, including the impressive temple at Abu Simbel, flanked by 4 massive statues of himself. Ramesses II was also a bold military commander. He led his army into the famous Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites. Though the battle ended in a stalemate, it resulted in the first recorded peace treaty in history, signed around 1258 BCE. Despite this high point, Egypt's wealth made it an attractive target for foreign invasions. The Libyan Berbers from the west and the mysterious Sea Peoples, believed to be a confederation of seafaring tribes from the Aegean, began to pose serious threats. While Egypt's army initially held them off, the kingdom eventually lost control of much of southern Canaan to the expanding Assyrian Empire. External threats were compounded by internal problems: corruption, rampant tomb robbing, and growing social unrest. Toward the end of the New Kingdom, the high priests of Amun in Thebes began to amass vast landholdings and wealth. Their influence expanded across the country, setting the stage for the Third Intermediate Period, during which centralized power fractured and Egypt entered a time of political and cultural transition. After the death of Pharaoh Ramesses XI in 1078 BCE, the New Kingdom came to an end, ushering in a turbulent new era, the Third Intermediate Period. At this point, Smendes rose to power and ruled Lower Egypt from his new capital at Tanis. However, in Upper Egypt, true authority lay with the high priests of Amun in Thebes. They only recognized Smendes in name, while effectively governing the south independently. At the same time, Berber tribes from Libya began settling in the western Nile Delta. Their chieftains grew increasingly powerful and autonomous. By 945 BCE, a Libyan prince named Shoshenq I took control and established a new dynasty, the Berber-led Bubastite dynasty. He not only unified the Delta, but extended his influence into southern Egypt by appointing royal family members to key priestly roles. In the mid-9th century BCE, Egypt attempted to reassert its former influence in West Asia. Pharaoh Osir-Khan II joined a vast alliance, including Persians, Israelites, Hamath, Phoenicians, Arabs, Arameans, and Neo-Hittites in the Battle of Karkar in 853 BCE against the powerful Assyrian king Shalmaneser III. However, the coalition failed, and the Neo-Assyrian Empire continued its dominance over the region. Meanwhile, the power of the Libyan dynasty began to weaken. A rival regime emerged in Leontopolis in the Delta, and Egypt faced a growing threat from Nubia to the south. Around 730 BCE, the Libyans' hold on Egypt fractured further. After millennia of interaction with Egypt, through trade, culture, war, and assimilation, the Kushites of Nubia made a decisive move. King Piye, from his capital at Napata, launched a military campaign into Egypt around 727 BCE. He quickly captured Thebes and eventually the entire Nile Delta. This victory was recorded on his famous stela. Piye then established Egypt's 25th dynasty and unified the two lands, Upper and Lower Egypt. Egypt became, once again, a vast empire reminiscent of the New Kingdom era. The 25th dynasty ushered in a cultural renaissance. Religion, art, and architecture were restored to their former glory. Pharaohs like Taharka constructed or renovated numerous temples and monuments from Memphis to Karnak, Kawa, and Jebel Barkal. This dynasty also built the first pyramids in centuries, mostly located in what is now Sudan. Piye made several attempts to expand Egypt's influence into the Near East, which was then under Assyrian control, but he failed. In 720 BCE, he sent troops to support a rebellion in Philistia and Gaza, but his forces were defeated by Sargon II. Again in 711 BCE, he backed another uprising in Ashdod, only to be defeated once more by the Assyrians. Ultimately, Piye had to abandon his ambitions in the Levant. From the 10th century BCE onward, Assyria began to aggressively expand into the southern Levant. Local kingdoms often turned to Egypt for help against Assyrian armies. Pharaoh Taharka saw some initial success. He supported King Hezekiah of Judah during the Assyrian siege of Jerusalem, led by Sennacherib. The exact reason the siege was lifted is debated. Some say it was due to disease, others believe the Kushite army frightened the Assyrians. Historian Henry Albin argues that it was the Kushite forces that saved Jerusalem. Eventually, Sennacherib was assassinated by his sons, partly due to his destruction of Babylon, a sacred city to all Mesopotamians, including Assyrians. In 674 BCE, Esarhaddon, his successor, launched an initial invasion of Egypt, but was repelled by Taharka. In 671 BCE, Esarhaddon returned with a much larger force. He crossed Sinai, defeated Taharka, and captured Memphis, Thebes, and other major cities. Taharqa was forced to retreat to Nubia. Esarhaddon declared himself king of Egypt, Patros, and Kush, erected a victory stela, and paraded his spoils, including Taharqa's son Ushankuru, back to Nineveh. Esarhaddon left a small occupying force in northern Egypt and installed native Egyptian vassals to rule on his behalf. But their control was short-lived. 2 years later, Taharqa returned from Nubia and recaptured Memphis and the south. Esarhaddon prepared to launch another campaign, but died before departing Assyria. His successor, Ashurbanipal, sent his general Shah-Nabu-Shu with a small but elite army, which defeated Taharqa at Memphis, forcing him to flee once more to Nubia. Taharqa died there 2 years later. His successor, Tanutamun, or Tantamani, also tried to reclaim Egypt. Initially, he defeated the Egyptian vassal king Necho and captured Thebes. But the Assyrians responded with a powerful army. Tanutamun was routed and forced to retreat to Nubia. The Assyrian army then plundered Thebes so severely that the city never fully recovered. A native Egyptian, Psammetichus I, was installed as a vassal under Ashurbanipal. From that point on, Nubia would never again pose a serious threat to either Assyria or Egypt.